Good morning. It's such a beautiful sunny summer's Sunday morning. And these days, because we've had quite a lot of wind this spring, and it's just so beautiful to have a soft, still day. As you've probably gathered, I much prefer talking to you outside. Okay, so Benagil Cave. Wow. I remember the first time I went down there back in the year 2000. I was, if you've seen from the video I did about Cavoeiro, I moved to Portugal in the year 2000 and I worked for my cousin in his restaurant in Cavoeiro for about 6 months. And I just arrived and I purposefully didn't get a car, I just got a bicycle. And I used to travel all the way around the place on my bicycle. And I navigated down to Benagil Beach because it was close by. And I was like, wow, amazing beach, nice beach, great. Turned around, went back. I didn't realize that just literally like 50 meters to the left of me was this massive cave called the Cathedral Cave. I mean, it really is grand. And, fast forward to 2015, some enterprising young fisherman guys, actually, I think his family were fishermen or something, but he had access to boats. And they've always been doing tours of the caves. But this guy put up a massive billboard, and it was this billboard on the 125. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, is that here? Is that right here? People have been living here for so long. And literally overnight, it became the Algarve's #1 tourist hotspot, and it's now filled with people. So look, let's head over to Benagil Cave. I've asked Tom to go and check it out. And I hope you enjoy it, because you can go and see it. You can go and see it in a boat, you can go and see it in a paddleboard or a kayak. But my suggestion is go super early in the morning at sunrise.
So Benagil is a small village in Lagoa, and it boasts some of the most picturesque coastline in the whole of the Algarve. Because of this, there is now a huge tourist attraction there, and it was so busy on the day we went and visited. Benagil is surrounded by quite a few different beaches. One of the most notable ones that me and Holly went to was Praia da Corredora. And this beach is really cool because it's only accessible via the water. There's no access from the land. So that makes it a lot less busy than a lot of the other beaches around there. But obviously, most notably is Praia de Benagil, and this was buzzing with life when me and Holly went. We went on a Saturday and it was full of tourists and quite a few locals as well. So Praia de Benagil has two sections, and you'll see it here. It's got the section where the boats and vessels and kayaks, etc. all depart from, and the general area as well for the beach activities. And this is separated by a rope and a sign that tells you in about 5 different languages, I think, which side is which, so you'll never get caught on the wrong side. Holly, where are we?
We are on Benagil Beach in Lagoa.
So on the normal beach side, you've got your regular beach activities, people sunbathing, playing bat and ball, etc. And then from the departure side, where all the boats go out, there's an almost endless stream of boat tours, kayak tours, stand-up paddle tours going out as well. Located just in front of Benagil Beach is the Benagil Beach Bar. Now, between me and you, me and Holly did not go and visit the bar on this day due to reasons of being slightly inebriated the evening before. We'd said farewell to some of our traveller friends from England as they've continued their journey up to Porto. We had a couple of beers the night before, so we didn't go and grab one on this day. However, it was very tempting to go for a hair of the dog beer because it was buzzing with life and it was quite a trendy bar. However, I do realise that me calling it trendy probably has the opposite effect. It looked to me like a perfect way to unwind after a day's hard work on the paddleboard. So Praia de Benagil is located at the turning of this very steep road. I read somewhere on a blog post about there being short supply of car parking. I don't know what that person was on at this point because there's a massive car park there and it's completely free to the public. So we went and parked in this car park, and there's no way that car park would ever get full. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe it gets busier. I can imagine maybe in the peak seasons it'd probably be busier, but there was a huge car park there, and it's really nice because we saw a lot of camper vans go in there, set up a little table and chairs and have their lunch watching the sea. So just next to Praia de Benagil, located probably about 50 meters away, is probably one of the most famous picture spots, I would argue, in Portugal. And this is the Cave of Benagil, or the Gruta de Benagil. Due to its popularity, thankful to the governments of Portugal and the UK for finally putting Portugal on the green list, so there's a lot of tourists going there now. It was very, very busy. Don't get me wrong though, it was beautiful. I'm sure on a less busy day, as the sound of the waves come crashing in and the light coming through the ceiling cavity, it would be an absolutely fantastic to sit there and quite peaceful and tranquil. But for us, the plethora of loud boats coming in, playing music on their PA system. We had one boat that came in and almost obnoxiously played Happy Birthday for one of the passengers on the boat for at least 2 minutes. And it was very loud on the PA system, and it did disrupt the peace quite a bit. If you're watching this though, I hope you had a happy birthday. It did look fun to be on the boat. It's a drone up there. And due to it being a massive, photo spot in the Algarve and in the world even, there was loads of people there taking photos of each other and, massive groups of people, and they're all very rightfully being very cheerful, but it wasn't as peaceful as it looks on some Instagram photos. So as me and Holly were sat there watching the influx of tourists fill into the Benagil Cave, Holly just we were in silence, just watching what was going on around us. Holly just kind of looked at me and said, "It's absolute carnage." And I don't think she could have hit that nail on the head any better, because it was carnage. I think this is one of those the grass is always greener moments though, if you know what I mean. The cave was stunning, and the cavity in the roof meant that the light filled through and there was this big kind of halo of light in the middle of the cave. And you can see why it's such a good Instagram post. It's beautiful scenery. So you can only access it by a water vessel of some sort of floaty, or if you're a good swimmer, I suppose you could swim there, but it's not recommended because there's a strong current there. But it feels like you're in a fantasy movie, like you're in a different world. It is amazing. So we really enjoyed our visit. More so, to be honest, for exploring the coastal path that ran along the top of the cliff faces. And we also did a bit of stand-up paddling around there, and we found this, because there's so many little coves, we found this kind of semicircle cove and made it our own private beach for about half an hour. We've just sucked it all the way along here. And it was a bit crazy when we got in, and the waves were coming in, and it was a bit scary, but we made it. Loads of boats and stand-up paddleboards going out. But with the hiking coastal path along the top, it was, with this thick, dense green vegetation, and it was beautiful because of the contrast with the deep blue ocean just next door. And you could sit up there. We had a bit of a picnic at one point and just watch the boats go by. It's a very active place. There's always people, in the water paddling or kayaking or boating. Careful, Ho. So all in all, I'll give our Benagil experience a 7 out of 10. So we did really enjoy the day, and paddling around the caves is highly recommended, and it's a brilliant experience. So I do recommend it. However, maybe because of the Instagram hype that I'd seen before, I think maybe I'd built the cave up massively in my head. I almost expected just me and Holly to be there and have our own cave to ourselves, which is obviously absolutely not how it's going to work. It's a very popular tourist destination. So I think I had some unrealistic expectations of the cave. If I went in there without any expectation, I think I would have been absolutely blown away by it. It's a real triumph of natural architecture. So as Nick mentioned earlier, we don't want to just hype absolutely everything up. I mean, we're very lucky to be able to live here in the Algarve, and 9 times out of 10 it is amazing. But I think we want to get across our honest opinions on some places. So the Benagil Caves, amazing, definitely recommend a visit, but don't expect, peaceful tranquility when you're there. There are lots of people, particularly, I imagine, as it gets closer to the peak summer season, it's going to get even busier, and there's only a very small swathe of sand in the middle of the cave, and so it does get really busy, and you may struggle for spots. But the water is amazing. It's probably the warmest, it's definitely warmer than the waters here in Lagos, so you can really see the attraction of the place.
Okay, let's get down to business. All right, so now it's been my intention from when I refocused my channel towards relocation videos that I wanted to help you. I really want to help you to see the realities of what life in Portugal is like. And it's pretty easy because the fact is that it's pretty damn good. I mean, life down here is good. However, life anywhere can turn tough quickly. It's turned tough for millions of people around the world due to COVID and lockdowns, and Portugal is no exception. But before you reach for the next button, this video is not about COVID, thankfully. It's about relocating to a new country. Now, I love our tourist board. They're awesome. They do a fantastic job. They really do. They really do. However, they show you the pretty half. And like all the Instagrammers and other people out there, they show you the pretty half. And also all the real estate agents. They're trying to sell you houses, so they only show you the pretty half. And everything's amazing and there's this positive wall of noise. They don't show you the desolate, rundown houses and the graffiti and the garbage in the streets. I mean, there's not a lot of it, to be fair, but you know, it's there. And for me, the rundown buildings are what gives Portugal its authenticity. It is scarred. Portugal's been through a lot. I urge you to get off YouTube and read this book. Just check it here. It's a fascinating book. I really enjoyed it. And the main question it asks and answers is how Portugal went from a superpower to one of the poorest countries in Europe. Not anymore. I mean, that's what it was. So personally, I think that fact is precisely what makes Portugal so attractive. The fact that it was so recently a very poor country. Families had to invent interesting ways of reusing basic food. I mean, look at a sorda, for example. It's essentially an old, crusty, stale bread that has been soaked in water. But now it's been decorated with delicious spices and other things. It's now become almost like a designer food that you can, pay tons for in restaurants. Where it used to be, just a matter of survival. When you move here, and after the thrilling novelty of being a stranger in a strange land wears off, you'll be left with real life. And real life ain't so good all the time. If you find yourself sitting in bars with other expats, moaning about the Portuguese way of life, the bureaucracy, the price of cars, and the ruins all over the place, do me a favor, pinch yourself, get out of that bar and go walk in the sun with some Portuguese friends and run far away from those whinging expats, because there are a lot of them, trust me, there are a lot of them. They sit in the bars and they moan and they talk about them as the Portuguese. I can't stand it. There's so many wonderful things about living here. Make the most of those things.
So if you've ever been to Benagil, let us know what you thought in the comments below. Or if you'd like to go, let us know too, because I'd love to get some of your opinions on it. I really enjoyed it, but as I say, it was very busy. So I'd love to hear your opinions on Benagil Cave if you've ever been before.